Hey guys, and welcome to a new movie. Today we're doing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. General thoughts always is the first thing I talk about. I like the movie. I think a little more than other people. I thought it was a good movie. I liked it. Do I think it's the best Bond movie? No. Do I think it's a good movie? Yes. I think it was better. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I really enjoyed it. Let's jump into it. The movie, I like it, so let's jump into it. Ant-Man, obviously, his character, Scott Lang, and it starts off with him showing his life. I'm going to remember him and his daughter. She got arrested. She goes to save him. He knows what that's like, because being a thief, he's being a thief stuff. He knows what that's like. But he gets her out, and the family have this talk. Janet Van Dyne, Hank Pym, Hope, the daughter, talk about stuff, and then they get to the point, talk about her being in jail and stuff, and they talk about the project she's working on, this thing that goes to the quantum realm, and the mom is freaking out at some point. Throughout the movie, she freaks out about stuff, because a lot of shit you find out later is going on in the quantum realm. Some bad stuff. And yeah, so eventually, they turn on the machine, and the mom's like, you're sending signals, because he was stuck in there for a long time, so he knows everything that's going on. So she's like, you're sending signals, and then basically the machine like kind of blows up, and then kind of like explodes a little, and then like starts sucking everything in, and they all get sucked in, and Hope goes to save her parents first, because they get sucked in first, so he goes in to save her, and Ant-Man goes in to save her daughter, Cassie, and then they all get separated to two different groups and stuff, and they have to get back together and stuff. And Ant-Man and Cassie meet a bunch of rebels and stuff, the guys who are trying to stop the big bad guy, or trying to stop the big bad guy and stuff. And there's some fun characters in there. Nobody who I would recognize from the comics. I feel like there's characters in this probably from the comics that I don't recognize. Only a couple who have two main, I get the one main villain and the other guy's kind of in, kind of not. We'll get into it later. But I think we just say now the main villain is Kang the Conqueror from the comics. He's a villain that has to do with time travel and stuff. So that's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer, so I'm just gonna say that now. That's the main villain. And that's to Hope's mom, Janet Van Dyne. Janet knows because came back to because he accidentally landed here. King the Conqueror got exiled there, and she didn't know him at the time or what he did, and tried to help him get back home. And then she touched his thing. And then once she touched it, she could see everything part of a ship or something, but she could see basically everything he did, and it's all the messed up stuff and all the people he killed, and you're bad, and I gotta stop you, kind of thing. You really bad, and fucked up his whole plan, so he's stuck there. But eventually she gets out. And then, obviously, the quantum realm had to defend for themselves. But then this goes back to, we're going to come back to, some of the stuff might be saying out of order, her stuff in the past and stuff like that. But it goes back to, we're going to go back to Janet and Hope and Pym. They go into town to try to meet they meet these Ravagers or whatever, other people who Janet and Mom knows. They give them a ride. They go into town. Then they go to meet somebody that she used to know. And it's this guy who used to help in the fight against the Kang. And the guy is played by Bill Murray. Don't know this is the character, like I said, in the comics. I don't know. Other than Kang and one other character, not counting the main Ant-Man cast. I don't know who else has been in the comics. But yeah, so they get to meet Bill Murray in it. And he's in for not a lot, but he's in for this character. It's fun. He's a fun character. I like Bill Murray, so I think he did fine. I think he was fine. He plays the character, and then they eventually, it's hey, I'm actually, Bill Murray character, hey, I'm the bad guy. And then they're uh-oh. And then they, use the Ant-Man stuff to eventually escape and get out of there. They make it out, and then Scott and Cassie do get kidnapped by Kang. And then we find out, they get kidnapped by Kang. Before they get kidnapped by Kang, when they're at the refugee camp of all the rebels and stuff, who, obviously, Kang comes and tries to attack them and stuff. And then there's a big hunter, a guy called the Hunter, coming after Ant-Man and Cassie. And you find out it's MODOK, who, you don't know, I'm a big fan. I like MODOK in the comics. He's a fun character. He was fun in the Gwenpool series. He was fun in that. He did have his own series or mini-series in, Secret Wars, the big event Marvel had. I know he had a little mini-series in that was fun. He can be a fun character when he's done right, and the Gwenpool series was a great example of that. He's fun. He's one of the characters I don't know how. In this, he's a good guy and toss a bad guy. He's more a good guy at the end, good guy, bad guy at the beginning. Spoilers, but I'm gonna say right now, spoiler warnings, because at this point I think you already got it. But spoiler warnings, he goes and fights. So MODOK comes, captures them. They get captured in Kang, and Kang gets Ant-Man to go get the thing he needs, because Janet, the thing he's using the power ship to go home, he did something to it to make it really big, and give pinpoint, I think, or something. Make it really big, and he couldn't use it. So he gets Ant-Man to go shrink down, to go inside it, get it, shrink it, and then get back up and make it come smaller. And obviously he has Cassie in his custody and stuff and saying, I'm gonna kill her if you don't do it, and da-da-da. Kang in this is a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's a good villain. I like him. I like Kang. I think in this movie he's great. He feels like Kang the Conqueror in the comics, so that's great. But when he goes in to save, to make this thing smaller, when he goes in there, he starts not go crazy, but it shows every different version of him. So every different version, every possibility he could have ever, every different timeline or possibility he could be in, versions of him was cool. Eventually I'll get to hey, we gotta do it for Cassie. Also, the one I think that was the funniest was the one who was he had the Batman Robin get up on. He was hey, I walked back in Robin. I don't know what all the suits are and all this stuff, but yeah, they try to save Cassidy and do this for Cassidy. And I think that's one thing they all agreed on. Really? None of you guys are evil or anything? But it was really cool. And then Janet comes in and helps him and they shrink it. And then Kang does get it and then they get captured. They go into, I need to hurry this up because it's getting kind of long. But they get, obviously Kang gets the thing and then after they have to go and capture Janet, goes to the place, and then they eventually have to go and stop her and save Cassie, save the day. They go, Amy gets really big, goes in, starts fighting everything. Cassie is able to break out and escapes at some point, breaks out, and then gets basically, I think, attacks a couple of the guards and stuff. So taking back to stuff, he beats them and goes out, and then saves the other girl who is part of the refugees, and then they get her, and then it gets to this thing where they're gonna be yo, we're gonna send out this thing so everybody can hear it, so everybody can come and fight, all the refugees and everybody, and all the rebels and everybody, come and fight. So they do that, Cassie sends this nice message, and then they all come attack Kang, and they're all going after Kang, and Scott and Janet are doing everything, fighting Kang and doing all this stuff, cool, and then eventually Kang starts beating him, and they're ugh. But then Hank Pym comes in with his giant ants, because earlier in the movie we find out the ants, because he had a bunch of ants in the room where he was doing stuff, and they were really smart ants that can build all kinds of crazy shit, and then they come in, because they went through the port too, so they went here too, and he meets them, and yeah, these are the ants that went by saying, and then they come in and start attacking Kang and everything, and it's crazy. Ant-Man at the very end, they all go through the portal, they kind of hey, we won, and save the day, and then Ant-Man, also MODOK does that at the end, he dies. He did the good thing and stopped the bad guy at the end. He's yeah, I'm gonna stop the bad guy. I'm not a, and also I like the part where he's saying, I'm not a dick. And also, you don't know, I didn't say this earlier, but MODOK was I can't remember the name of the character, and it's bugging me because I feel like I know it. Darren, I think it was Darren, who was in he was a villain for the first Ant-Man movie. He got sucked into the quantum realm, and then he had his different parts because he did a bunch of stuff to shrink and grow him, so he has a big head, small body and stuff, and so he got stuck in there, and then Kang picked him up. So it's cool to have a recurring character from the first movie. Oh, cool, he didn't die. Bring him back. But he did die. But he died here, and I'm yeah, he wasn't a bad guy. I like how he's I'm an Avenger now. I'm here's the thing. I feel in any sense, Captain America, anybody else, I feel a lot of people, definitely I think Captain America would be yeah. If we're talking about, I feel the movies are a little different than the comics, but I feel if we're going by actually, he's not an Avenger, but maybe he's been an Avenger book he's been in the comics, I don't know. But I feel Captain America or anybody would be somebody like Captain America would be yeah, saying he's an Avenger, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel some characters would be no, a soul, I might be maybe not, but they would not be yeah, but I like how they were yeah, you're an Avenger. I think that's, I thought it was nice. But I feel Captain America and a lot of the characters in the comic version should probably do that compared to the movie version, but the movie version is all a little more goofy, have some more comedy to it. But yeah, it's fun. That's a fun moment with Sam redempting, and then obviously they all go back through the portal, and then we find out, Kang fights, goes after Scott before he goes in, and they open up a portal, and Janet and 9 comes out, and they beat him, and he gets stuck into this thing, so he's kind of gone, and I think dead, so he's gone, and then they go back to their world, and everything's happy, and then he's and then at one point, Scott, at the end, when he's talking to himself, what about, King was talking about the big thing that was going to happen, and all stuff, and it's nothing, and then we cut to the Council of Kings here, and they're all getting ready together to fight, or getting all together for some shit that's going to happen for a second. Well, having the Council of Kings is cool, that means we could always have a king, even if one king dies, we could always just flop in another king. It's fun. I think it's fun, and having the council, all the different kings, it's cool, and if they are in the comics, that's cool. That was fun. We have 3 different kings, so that's cool. And at the very end of the movie, this is not the fifth credit scene, the fifth credit scene, after the credit scene is with the king and all the council king. Last one, it says a person on stage, it's I want to say the 80s, somewhere in the 80s, maybe early 90s. It's an old time. I don't know when exactly. It's the 80s, somewhere in the 80s, the 1980s, somewhere in that realm. Or, not the 80s, 1980s, what am I thinking? The 1880s, or maybe early 90s, 1990s. But this guy, he's building this thing and looks very old. Looks in a time of Thomas Edison and stuff. But it's Krang. I believe it seems to be, it looks like it's the Krang from the Marvel all timeline. Because the one in the Quantum Realm was banished there, so it's a different Krang altogether. And maybe the Quantum Realm of things, that's where they banished him. So interesting. But the Krang here seems to be the one from our timeline, and it's like, and we see Loki and this other guy who I know is from the Loki series. It's like his partner or whatever, or Loki said partner, whatever the case may be. They're there, and I'm like, oh shit, because it's Krang. They know who. Again, obviously they deal with time stuff, so they probably definitely know who Krang is. So I was like, oh shit, cool. We get a Loki reference and tying in the Loki show to this. Like, that's fun. Cool tying into this movie. So that was cool. Like this. So yeah, like I said, great movie. I liked it. I actually liked it. I know more than other people, but yeah, I'm gonna solid 8. Like, I definitely liked it more than. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I'd watch it again. When I say a lot of stuff, I'm gonna watch it again, it doesn't mean I'll watch it immediately. Like, oh, I just saw it, I'll watch it again. But in a couple, like, I'd watch it again. So I've easily watched that movie again. I feel like compared to some other Marvel movies, so I think that's usually how I compare. Like, yeah, I'd watch it again compared to a lot of movies. It was fun. So what you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. You guys can always stay epic. See you in the next movie, you guys. Bye.